Hello, everybody, and welcome to Lost in the Ether. I am joined tonight on this podcast with my friends Cody and Eric,
Hello.
and we are going to be catching up tonight on our talk of Elder Scrolls. In our last video, we sort of had issues with recordings and streamings and a whole bunch of other stuff that we weren't expecting, mainly because internet was going out on my end. So I do apologize for that again. However, we're back, and I have Cody and Eric here to sum up that conversation. So, whatever you guys want to remind us or tell me about in the last discussion that you remember, I say go for it.
Okay. I think I'll start. Um, yeah. So my main points, since I play a similar game, called Medieval Dynasty that kind of is similar, um, around Elder Scrolls as well, is there are similar things as far as crafting goes, as far as the food and things like that. Now you do have to hunt in this game. That's different, a little bit more in depth, but it's kind of takes you back to that medieval type side. So that's what I really enjoy about the similarities between the two. Um, Also, the one thing that I can say is that benefits Elder Scrolls is fast travel is in that game and it is not in this game. So I think that's a huge negative on medieval. Um,
Some people
let's
would
see.
disagree with that, but I
Yeah,
know that
yeah.
there should always be the option for fast travel in RPGs.
Right. Over encumbered is one that's obviously in Fallout and all those games as well. That's very realistic. Um,
Of
let's
course,
see.
shoving 1,000 cheese wheels into your inventory isn't, but I know what you mean.
R- Right, right. The food. I guess the the length of food items and the various things you can gather, I think, is a lot more in depth in medieval than it is Elder Scrolls. But there are similarities with things like potions and things that you can actually um, have, and there's loot that you can find along the way. There are no creatures as far as any mystical creatures or any dragons or anything of of different um, I guess you know types of creatures that would be in Elder Scrolls. Um, yeah, so that those were my main points that I have on the top of my head. I know I said a lot more in um, the other podcast episode,
Not gonna lie, I
because
don't know how much that was. I tried to watch through a little bit, but I didn't have time to sit down and
right,
really
yeah, it's
listen
right,
because it's only like a good 30 minutes that we managed to upload.
right, yeah,
So it's this is more of like a recap for the audience of what was actually in that original
r-
video.
right, yeah. I'm trying to think back. I know Mike said a lot about like the different things in depth about Elder Scrolls, and it brought up a lot of um points about the similarities in this one. Like I've already talked about the food. What else? Yeah, there's tons of NPCs in this game. You have quests as well. There's different villages and things you can visit. Um, Different things like that. You can't go into any taverns or anything like that. You can get drunk in this game, but you have to literally buy the beer and literally I mean, well, there is a tavern, but you can't. There's no saloon or anything you can walk into that's actually, covered, you know, all around, I should say. Um, what else? Yeah, and it's a huge map. It's open world. I know, same as Elder Scrolls. There's no job title kind of where you can kind of do this for someone. Do the mill. I think that I remember for me in Elder Scrolls. Things like that. I think I found having similarities with. So there's a few other things, but I will say that there were a lot of times where fast travel was very. I really wish there was fast travel, because I was far away from my village at night, and you have wolves and different things in this game. But my point is, I really needed it at a
Maybe you're just
time
too
when my
close to an enemy.
right, and at a time when I had tons of loot, tons of worth, like valued loot, that you find, because there's these wagons that are completely just, dumped, and they have different potions and different, I mean, they could have a bronze axe, they could have, uh, you know, clay materials, everything. There's different abandoned campsites that look kind of like an Indian reserve type thing. And you just take whatever. But my point is, when you get in those heavy populated, dense, buffalo type territory and bear territory, you really, it gets so dark that you can't see where you're going, literally, and figuratively as well, which is everything around you wants to kill you, and you really wish that you didn't go that far out and you had that fast travel. Now it may be in the game, but as far as right now, it takes a while to unlock it, and it is a grinder, so that's the biggest thing that I think separates it from Elder Scrolls. You have to play this game for like 50 hours at least to really be at a point where you can have a village and run your NPCs and recruit people, which is similar to Fallout. That's where it really shines, in the NPC and the village side. But that was my main points. There's no knights or any, there's not that type of stuff. Um, Other than that, I think that's it that I have.
Okay, cool. Um, I'm surprised they have that kind of amount of overlap. I really should play Dynasty.
Yeah, I think you'd enjoy it. It's just it's one of those games where
The
you just
grind
have
seems
to.
like it might be too much for me at the moment, but definitely will look
Yeah,
into it. Um,
yeah, yeah. It's very in depth as far as what you can buy. Like there's tons and tons and tons of food, different foods. You can craft recipes, and it's like a mix between Elder Scrolls and Fallout.
well, I saw
It
the video you
literally,
sent me on it, so I'm
yeah,
aware of the mechanics of it at least. So it's
right,
just sitting. It's like you said, like the 50-hour grind. That's sort of a
yeah.
weird turn on, turn off kind of thing with games these days. It's like sometimes the grind is exactly what you buy the game for, and then for me especially, like I don't have time to sit down and grind through a game just to be able to.
Yeah, it's an
Right.
investment. You really have to think like, oh, before I buy this game, which Medieval Dynasty looks super good, but you have to think like I have like 8+ games I'm trying to kind of juggle, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just a game that I can actually grind. I actually just deleted Fallout 4 because I'm like, I love that game, but I will just continue to do playthroughs on it and not play any of the other games I have if I don't like just get it off my Steam account and hide it. Like I love that there's the option to hide games in Steam. I'm like, I need to stop playing the same game for 4 years in a row. Like it's time to move on.
Yeah, but that's when you love a game. Like
That's
I've been
true.
playing Medieval since I found it on the front page of Steam when they were like the developers were streaming it, and I'm like, what is this? I'm like, and I started looking into it, and I bought it within 5 minutes because I'm like, yeah, I'm sold. And then I slowly realized how tough it was, and I first gave up on it because I'm like, this thing is too hard. Like I can't figure it out. Then I watched a YouTube video, and this guy walks you through exactly what you do at first, and he was saying, don't just recruit people to your village when you don't have any houses built. Like you need houses, otherwise these people are gonna leave, and they're gonna sleep by the campfire, and then they're gonna die if you don't give them food.
It seemed
Um,
like the potential that Ark Survival had, except without the BS of having tons of random people try to kill you while you're trying to improve your land and settlement. Like it's
mhm.
like survival without all the random people trying to move your stuff.
Right. Yeah, and I think they really took a lot of um inspiration from Elder Scrolls. I really do. There's a lot of
Well, I
that,
mean, the genre
you
in
know.
general overlaps. So things that are true in Elder Scrolls were going to be true in games that were made by other franchises with the same aesthetic. Because it's you're running like take for instance a game like Dragon Age where it's not that in depth. There's still a lot of overlap in mechanics with things
Mhm.
like crafting, gathering resources, what you can buy. Like it's just the problem with RPGs in general is that at some point it's just the product itself that's the same. It's just a different coat of skin and a different way of doing the same thing. Not that I like thinking that way, mind you, but at some point you just have to admit that it's the genre.
It,
Right.
it, it really is. It depends on what you like, play. And like for me, like something that Eric was talking about is you have to really be into crafting and spending hours just making things and building. Because like for me, like I was playing Fallout 4, and the first 18 levels of it, all I was doing was working on settlements. I wasn't even doing quests.
Right.
And even Eric got frustrated during like he failed a quest because he forgot to do it. He was like, "Damn, I'm just so busy like hunting, gathering, and building my settlement. Like he totally forgot about paying his taxes." Like,
Right, and then I paid it. But my other point was with this was if you don't do quests in this game, like I reached my building limit of 5 out of 5 buildings, and I'm like, okay, how do I increase my building limit to 5 out of 10? So because I want to build a kitchen and whatever a woodshed and a whatever for blacksmith, whatever. And I looked up the wiki for medieval, and they were saying in order to unlock, you have to do quests. I'm like, man, I'm gonna have to be forced to do that. Okay, and it takes you sometimes forever to do these quests, but dude, I got 1,500 coins. Coins is the currency in this game. That's huge because the inflation in this game is outrageous. Something that should cost 20 coins, they'll put it to 100. When it linen fabric, why is that 100 coins? 50 coins for that? Like I can make. So it's just yeah, that part is negative. But that's why you have to grind it, is because you really have to like, well, fine, I won't buy it. I'll find the resources and I'll do it myself. I'll figure it out. But it
my
takes you longer. Could take you a week to get that thing
I mean,
crafted
no
rather
offense to
than
a game,
spending
but like if I have to deal with in-game inflation when I'm already dealing with real-world inflation, we have a problem.
it. I mean, I agree with you. That's what I thought, because I'm like, I just got 1,500 coins. You can buy geese, you can buy or goose, you can buy cattle, whatever, and you can build your farm, but it's like 1,500 for like, what is it? It's like, yeah, it's like 2,000 for a male calf or a male cow, and then it's like what, 700 coins for a calf.
that
And
sounds like the most realistic like Skyrim medieval game I've ever heard of.
yeah, so it's just, I'm like, hell no, I'm not like, I want farm animals, but not until I get to a certain point where I'm like, I don't care what I spend for it and it won't affect me. But yeah, it is a grinder. Like now I have probably over 45 hours in it, or at least 40. But now I'm to a point where I have freedom now, where I have three NPCs and villagers that I manage, and I have to feed them and literally put food in their chests every, I don't know, 10, 20 days
You
or
see,
whatever. They eat so
that runs into
slow.
the problem of you're over managing a settlement at that point. So
Yeah.
that's Elder Scrolls will never be that in depth. It never will be.
Right. I'm just saying, for me, I love this game because everything in this game is exactly what I would love to have and what I would love. Like that part of it, as far as medieval and crafting goes, because I love building, so that's the big thing. And it's so in depth, you can never, you always have something to do, so it's nice. But that is the trade-off of the grinder, the time that it takes to even get to a point of being successful in this game, and also, if you want to have that type of thing where you want to have you want to be able to do this quickly and do this, it's not your game, but it's a wonderful game, but it does have its quirks, but it is really cool.
So it's a
So
wonderful
After
game. Got it.
after playing a game like that though, Eric, with Elder Scrolls 6 coming out soon, do you think now that you've played like a sort of medieval game, do you think Elder Scrolls is something you can get into? Or is
I
it
think
still like out of your realm?
I would have to watch gameplay of it enough to
You
see.
see that? No, just play the game. Don't spoil it by watching gameplay. All right. That's sort of one of the greatest sins of our generation is that we don't take
Well,
time
that
to actually try something out for the first time ever. So
That's a very good
and
point.
Elder Scrolls is one of those things that you really have to experience as a first-time player
Yeah.
on at least one of the
Right.
games, so that you can actually have this idea of discovery that the whole game is about. Because
And
I
it's
let
like watching a movie. You wouldn't look at parts of a movie before you watched it. You might watch
No.
a trailer,
Yeah.
but like with Elder Scrolls, there's so many quests that are so interesting that like you would ruin it for yourself before you even started,
Yeah,
kind of
because
thing.
Elder Scrolls is a even though I have my criticisms of it, Elder Scrolls is more or less a story inclusive game. So when because Eric, I know your mentality is simulators, it's mechanics, it's crafting. I get it. You want to see that. You want to be hyped about that. But Elder
Mhm.
Scrolls is a role playing game for a reason. Even though they don't have much actual role playing, you there is a narrative that you go by. There's a quest scene that you go by. So when Elder Scrolls 6 comes out, don't watch anything on it. Just buy it, play it, and you won't have to worry
Experience
about
it.
another Bethesda game for like 6 years anyway. So
Or you could play on one of our accounts. Like I could give you my Steam account, let you like try it out, even. But it's something that, like he said, it's weird because it's like a weird gamble investment. You really like when it comes to you tried Fallout though, but Elder
Yes.
Scrolls
Yeah.
is different in the sense that um,
Ghouls.
you don't have ghouls and you don't have these weird like sadistic
no, you
creatures
just
that
have different versions of the same thing.
yeah.
Right, but so my first experience, because I know I told Spence this, and he literally probably, I know he cracked up laughing, and I didn't even know who they were, and I don't even know what race it was. I can't remember. All I know, and I wanted to be kind of venturous and daring, so what I did is when I started out the game, I don't know which village wherever it places you at the beginning of the game,
Oh,
I'm
this
like,
shit's funny. I remember this.
yeah, so I'm like, oh, cool. I'll just go in this, I'll start. And all of a sudden, I saw these huge, tall creatures, giants. And I'm like, I'm going to go and say hi. So I'm like, I walked over. The dude slapped me or something. And my guy completely just died. I'm like, oh, so they're not friendly. Like they were trolls, whatever it was. And
It was
I didn't even
giants.
right. And so I just came over hello, like da da da. And all of a sudden, bam, it was territorial, whatever, and bam, they just killed me around the spot. I'm like,
See,
whoa, these guys don't
and
play well.
and you
So,
miss that when you watch stuff ahead of time. So
Yeah,
right,
you
that's
don't get to
why
make those fun mistakes.
but it's hilarious because I don't know these creatures. I don't know what's going on. I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. So I'm like, let me see if I can you know, make amends with, or just meet these people and maybe make some sort of pact,
well,
with
first
this.
of all, you're trying to negotiate in an Elder Scrolls game, and that only works when you have dialogue options. So
Oh, there was no dialogue. There was me
I know
hitting
there
the
is no
ground and
dialogue with
being
giants.
dead.
Giants don't
Yeah.
speak
it's
any language that
it's
you'll
funny though
understand.
because like you can kill a giant at a high enough level, but you have to like start pretty far back with a bow and arrow, and usually have like
What, you don't use
your
a
power
two-handed
day.
war axe and go all in? Come on, Cody. Where's your grind on this?
Oh, I'm scared, bro. Because when you get hit by the giant, you fly up like through the air, like
Yeah,
Only
that's
when you
right.
die,
That's what
though.
happened to
crazy.
me. I flew back or whatever. My
The
body
the
was
only
just,
time you fly up in the air is when they actually kill you. Otherwise, it's just a huge
oh, they
HP hit.
killed me.
So, but no, and
There was
it
no coming
says
back from that.
so because Eric, like you don't even know the rabbit hole of lore you go down when you investigate Elder Scrolls. All right, so to have to jump into a game like let's say Elder Scrolls 6 comes out this like next year or something like that. It's not going to,
Mhm.
but let's assume. And it comes out, don't watch anything. Go in and read everything that you find. So like when you're starting out in the opening dungeon because you know you're going to be in a jail as a prisoner somewhere, um, read the books that are on the shelves for like a couple minutes and start learning about the world that you're walking in on because the majority of the knowledge about the Elder Scrolls is found in those books. So
Mhm.
It's kind of like computer terminals and Fallout.
it's better than computer terminals
Well,
in Fallout.
yeah, and I know what I just remembered is this was I remember I may have been the same village, but they were. Yeah, I think I was fine. I wasn't in prison or anything, but they had some sort of execution for some dude, and I literally just watched. I'm like, I
Some
wonder how
dude,
bad this will.
every
Yeah, I don't.
single Elder Scrolls
Yeah.
person just cringed.
So I don't know though. I'm like I didn't get as far as I would have needed to get to in order to understand who that person was or whatever. And I watched it. I'm like, wow, it's different. You know
That's
that
the
they
thing.
really take
Like
it. You know.
something that me, um, Spencer, and Mike have always talked about is I think what something you're sort of touching on is that unfortunately, like as much as people say that you're the good character in the
Hmm.
game, you can even have good karma. You end up slaughtering a lot of people, creatures.
Oh, they
Like you
deserve
end
to
up
die. Don't
being
worry
like a
about it.
mat. You sort of end up being like a mass murderer in the game,
No,
and
no,
it's
no, no.
just like
You're not a mass murderer. You're just the great protector. You're killing all the bad guys. Just think of it like that. It has nothing to do
there's
with
just not a lot
morality,
of
whatever. It's fine. They're
there's just not
bandits.
a
They're
lot
not
of
people.
right. It's just not a lot of diplomatic. I feel like what I want to see in Elder Scrolls 6, the new game, is I want to be able to walk up to a giant or a group of bandits and have a high enough skill to
Yeah, but we
either speak their language or bribe them.
no, I know, Cody. We had a whole video on this conversation already.
But yeah, I keep going back to that.
Yeah, but no, like I get because no, I agree with you on that, and it's just the reality is though is that this is the thing about games in general is that it the violence in the game is not actual violence in the sense of what people want to make it out to be. So like when you're saying when we're saying oh we're slaughtering like thousands of people, it's like no you're not. You're slaughtering randomly generated things to simulate the fact that you're adventuring. As far as lore is concerned, you
No, I
only
get it.
really
It's
take
just
out those
you.
bandits in that layer one time. You don't go back to it over and over and over again. That's just a game mechanic. So like
Right.
Right. You could
But
even see yourself as a crusader, of like as almost like a superhero in the game. But at the same time, it's just man, you fucking kill somebody.
well, I
but
mean,
and
but
I
especially
hate
with
the
like
death
Raiders and
count it
Fallout, like they're not
because
people.
they
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 don't
just
deserve the same kind of empathy you would give a normal NPC. Don't do that to yourself.
well, yeah, and I will say that is whenever there's a ghoul that comes up, I don't care. I'll take it out because it's like, well, then you attacking me, bye. You know, it's
Well,
like I don't
ghouls aren't
really
even
care.
people anyway. Don't worry about that.
Right. Yeah, I'm not. I don't take any. I'm like, well, okay, great, bye.
Feral ghouls. I mean feral ghouls. I'm not talking about like normal ghouls that have their minds still. I'm talking about feral. Don't give me that whole racist comment in the comment section here. All right.
you're racist
um,
against a race of the racist roads.
no,
All right.
don't
Feral
start
ghouls
that.
deserve to be shot on sight. Normal ghouls are normal people. Don't bother
I
them.
knew, I knew Cody was gonna. Oh, oh man. But
But
what I was gonna ask is those people you know take out. It's like they're you're are
slaughter
you
outright. Yeah, those people.
yeah, those people, are you protect like is there some sort of reason why like do they represent something that's completely bad? That's my question.
So think
I'll
about
see
this.
the
So think about this. There in Elder Scrolls, you generally run into four main types of enemies. So you run into the undead, which is obvious, you take them out. You run into necromancers, which is obvious, you take them out. You run into vampires, it's obvious, you're taking them out. And then you run into bandits, which you kill on sight
And
all the time.
because
bandits are similar to what in Fallout? Or
Raiders.
they're similar
raiders.
to like
Legit,
there's
think about the name
Oh, I
bandits.
know. Yeah. I rogue, you know,
Bandit
like,
and
you know.
Raider. It's the same thing. They just gave it a different title. I guarantee if I called Raiders and Fallout and just switched the name to Bandit, nobody would have noticed. I guarantee it.
it's true.
Right.
It's funny how they have in Fallout 4. They're not just some of the raiders aren't just called raiders like the special ones that are legendary. Are called like Raider Scum, like some dumb name, or like
Kind of like Rebel
Psycho
Scum, just
Raider.
like we
Yeah,
should be
rebels.
treating
I
the
was about to
rebels.
say,
Yeah.
I'll tighten those rebel scum. Yep.
So in a way, I guess you could justify it. They say you're in a survival. It's like a survival state of mind. Those bandits would kill an innocent like child
Oh,
and
they do
and
worse. They do
a
worse.
random girl walking. You go into these bandit caves and there's people like hanging on the walls. I mean, it's just fucked up. So it's like when you kill like all these bandits, and you look at your kill count, you kill like 100 people in the game. You're like, yeah, but I was justified because they tried to kill me. And
Well, yeah,
you
because
know,
it's a
there's
Yeah,
game.
and also the
They don't
people.
want to make you out to be the bad guy, but it's not even that. It's just that. Think about this for a second. Let's take whenever you clear out a location in any Bethesda game, it always has the word clear underneath it. What that indicates is that canonically, I believe, you never go back to that place after you go in it. All right? Because, like, think about this. If you were an actual adventurer, would you keep going back to the same cave to kill the same bandits to get the same loot over and over and over again? No.
No.
So I think canonically, the best way of thinking about this is each and every location, you would just total up the kills in that specific location one time, and then add that up to the amount of people that you actually kill as a Dragonborn.
and
It's
there
still a
are
lot
some
of people, don't get me
situations,
wrong, but I'm just saying, like, locations wise, that'd be a way to measure it.
but there are some situations where you get to have that kind of good karma feel where bandit will say, "Hey, give me your stuff or I'll kill you." You can be like, you know what? I don't want to be. That's just the bar I'm going for. So you end up paying them 100 gold and they leave you alone.
Yeah, but you
There
lose
are
100
some cool
gold, though.
situations.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
but
do.
couldn't they do the? Couldn't they also kill you and take your gold?
I mean, yes, that's why you kill them on
They
sight.
sometimes they sometimes do that. They'll take your gold and be like, "Ha! Now we have more gold," and then they
Yeah,
have
so
your
you
weapons.
can't. Yeah, so it's better just to they're, you know, so you
They're
know.
scum, you wipe them out. Bandit
Raider
Yeah.
scum.
scum, raider scum, rebel
Right.
scum. Never mind, that's a whole different other
The fact
discussion.
that they say scum in the name tags when you like focus in on someone on Fallout, like you're in bats, and I just see like Raider scum or like Bubba, like some dumb name like that. It's just like, dude, these developers just ran out of ideas. They're just like, yeah, this Raider looks like a scumbag, so we'll call him Raider Scum.
Well, I mean, it used to be that Bethesda would actually go so far as naming every single NPC in their games.
What?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I'm hearing.
Elder Scrolls used to have that. So, like, if you play Morrowind, every single person you meet has a name and a backstory almost. So, it's been relaxed a little bit over the years, and I think that's mainly just because of production time. But, if I'm waiting 10, 11 years for Elder Scrolls 6, you can name all the NPCs random names for me. Just saying.
Now there is another way, Eric, that you can sort of do like almost because we were talking about something I realized that Skyrim does, and even Fallout, like me and Eric were talking about the other day, they have things where you can choose not to be as violent, like with a syringe rifle in Fallout 4, or you can even cause magic like illusions to make them like not fight you for 60 seconds. You can run through the cave, grab what you need, run out, cast an illusion spell on them again, so you're not technically killing them. But at the same time, it's like I think it depends on how you build your character. So
Mhm.
there are situations where you do have to kill the bandits, but then there are situations where you're like, oh, I need to get in this cave and collect this artifact. I'll just go in there, sneak, get to the back, and then like use illusion spells on people, or like so that I did forget. They do have a lot of areas in which you can choose to like be more passive in the game,
Mhm.
but at the same time, you kind of just want to kill everything because you get so much
Just
XP
wipe them
for
out. Don't think about it. Wipe them out. Get the loot. Get out.
it. Gets in a warthog and just
If I could,
get
I
it, like,
would. So
oh man,
you see, this is
I like.
this this is why this is why I firmly believe the majority of problems is with defeating enemies is a lack of pragmatism. So when we're talking about just designing enemies in general, the reason why you have such a high kill count is because they try to make the game feel like you're constantly in action. But the reality is that what you really need is actual fights that feel like you're in fights. So you can't really emulate that without making the game too difficult. So, for instance, Dark Souls is one of those things where every single fight you win can kill you. And that's why Dark Souls and the subsequent sequels it has is set up in a way where you know where you're going to be fighting. or you're not constantly berated by enemies that like weak enemies to where you feel like you're a god all of a sudden, and then the game's too easy. And the reason why that can't work in Elder Scrolls is because at some point your character, just with how the genre of RPGs are, is going to be so powerful that legit a nuke would fall on you and you would not be dead. So there comes a
There's
point where I they've tried to implement this in the survival settings, and I do appreciate the try on it. But my main issue is that at every single level of the game, every fight should be meaningful in some way, not just, oh, there's a random raider running into me, take him out, move on, whatever, it didn't matter, totally forgot the encounter. And a way of doing so, have you guys, I know you guys haven't, but the new game that's coming out that's Dark Soul-esque is Elden Ring. And even on the first level, there's like, I want to say 10 different bosses you can fight right off the bat. And every single one of those encounters are memorable just of how they set it up or just by the characters themselves. And I think a way of implementing that into Elder Scrolls 6 would be to have specific areas on the map where, like, not hard bosses, but soft core bosses would spawn and then engage with you. So, for instance, knowing that Elder Scrolls 6 is probably in Hammerfell, let's say in a desert you actually come across a big sand monster or something that you rarely get to meet any other time in the game, but you walked into a specific area and it decided to spawn as a boss. And just encounters like that, where it's not like it's overpowered and it's going to kill you outright, but it's just like challenging enough to make you think, oh, wait, I've got to make sure I'm prepared every single time I go out because I'm going to be running into something that I know I'm going to be needing help with. Or at the very
yeah,
least, I
like
know is going to be a legit engagement to where I might need to restock afterwards. And I feel like that needs to be integrated to some extent because then that solves the problem of not being a mass murderer, but also feeling like you're running into danger.
that's true. I would like to see more randomness in Elder Scrolls just because like we saw it in Dead Space. They were really good at each time, or even in Alien Isolation, like the alien like alerts.
Well, a game like that has a director to it. So I don't know if Bethesda will ever do something like that. And I don't know if you guys have heard that term director before. Do you know what that means?
No, that's
I
true.
mean, I know
All right.
film wise, but no.
Well, it's all right. So take a film director. A film director understands what he needs to adjust in the film to make it better, right?
Right, correct.
So it's the same thing. But it's placed in the game. So, and Left 4 Dead's the best example. Left 4 Dead had a AI director that calculated and determined how zombie hordes were going to attack you. And what it would do is that it would measure the data that they had on your engagements with hordes that were already present in the game from the beginning. So if you're having a difficult time, the director would actually be like, okay, they're having struggle. We'll send in a weaker horde instead of a larger one, or we'll give them a break for a minute to let them catch their breath and recoup supplies and move forward on things. And the director adjusts based upon the individual players playing and the success that they're getting through the map. So, for instance, if you're sweeping through the map early on, like this is no trouble, it's going to be sending you tanks and smokers and boomers and all other assortment of things to make your job more difficult because it's measuring that you're already having an easy time. So I don't know if Bethesda would operate and add in a AI director to make exploring more balanced.
That would be cool.
Maybe,
I do
That would
but
like
be
it's
that.
not
a
really
lot
their
of fun.
style of game, though. So that's why I don't
Yeah,
think
but
they'll ever do
it's
it.
right, but it's smart though. It's like, oh, well, this person's, if the player is struggling, we'll send a weaker horde just so he can have success and enjoy, so he doesn't feel like he's, frustrated and just
Well,
feels,
but here's the thing about Elder Scrolls: it's not a horde game, though. The
no,
closest thing you'll ever get to is, like, take for instance in Skyrim with the Civil War. The closest thing you'll ever get to is that if you're a Stormcloak, suddenly legionaries show up. Well, that's not how Elder Scrolls works. It works on a RPG basis. So what a director might be able to do is implement the boss system like I was talking about. So like you'll in your first encounter with the boss spawn point, I guess is the best way of saying it, is it'll send you a bandit. And how you fight with that bandit determines what the next enemy might look like, and so on and so forth. So it knows just off of your level and how fast you took out the enemy what kind of enemies it should spawn next.
Oh.
And it can even, and if I was to design the director, it would be based upon your perk skills as well. So if you're having an easy time fighting enemies in an area that, for instance, are vulnerable to fire, maybe it might send you one that isn't for once.
Oh.
Or has another quirk that actually gets you at a disadvantage. Not an overwhelmingly disadvantage. I'm not saying we should hurt the player for no good reason. But if I was Bethesda, I'd be really considering something like that to balance out the adventure, because a lot of Bethesda games are about exploration, and that's fine, that's great. But that also means you're running into a lot of stuff that you're going to have to kill half the time. So instead, if we are worried about something like kill count, which I'm not, but apparently people are noticing, it would be, I think a directive would be the best way of going about it, and the director can work on an area basis. So you have one director for early game areas, you have another director for late game areas, etc., etc.
Right.
I'm sorry, I was watching a little bit of Elden Ring. That it looks really good. It's like a mixture of Dark Souls and like Elder Scrolls almost.
Oh no,
Um,
it's just Dark Souls, but they've opened up the map to explore more.
I
They've
see.
they've changed
Looks
up
really good.
the magic system a little bit too, to make it actually more practical. But I'll the video I put in the chat for our streamings has a really good intro to it all. So if you guys want to watch that, go for it. But
Absolutely.
it's just Dark Souls with an open map, in my opinion. There's nothing.
I do have to say though, I think that the one Bethesda game I can see Eric like hopping on, no questions asked,
No,
is
it'll
gonna
be
be.
which
I think
one?
you can guess it.
Oh, you mean the space one?
Yeah, Starfield.
Oh, yeah, dude. When that trailer came out, I was all over it.
And then you
So that
forgot about it for two
Yeah, I
weeks.
did. I did
Like
because
no
I'm
no
like,
no no,
okay,
Cody
well,
Cody
it'll
Cody,
come out.
like legit. Eric was all over this. We were talking about this, and for like a month, he totally forgot about it. Like it was not even a thought in his head. I had to
Yeah,
remind him about it.
yeah,
that's
I did
hilarious.
forget. I did forget. There's a lot of things. I'm
Well,
like, oh yeah,
I'm
that's
just
right.
surprised you did, because like I'm really looking forward to this game, and
Yep.
you're into this stuff way more than I am.
Yeah, so well, when that thing came out and I saw that, because it was like, I saw it on a Facebook ad or whatever. I'm like, what? I'm like, no way. I'm like, that's what they've been up to too? I'm like, okay, let's see. Let's see if they can pull this off. And I was all over it.
I
And
think
then
they will.
I forgot of it. Yeah, okay, I forgot about it, but it's just, but yeah,
That's like you
because it's,
forgetting about Horizon Zero Dawn. Like that would
yes,
totally blew me out of water. Like, yo, this
yeah,
is his thing.
right.
You guys also heard of the RPG survival coming out? It's called Atomic Hearts, and it's not made by Bethesda. And this is totally off topic, so I'm just gonna talk about it really quick. There's this thing called Atomic Hearts, and it's like post-apocalyptic world in Russia where Russian
Oh, yeah.
experiments went wrong and like
Wait, you
ended
said
up.
Russia? I don't care about it
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah,
Okay.
well,
I'm joking. I'm
You have to,
joking.
you have to
it
see
reminds me. It reminds me of this game. Um, it was on PlayStation. And dude, I wanted that. I waited for that game to come. It was before I had a PC or whatever, but it was on PlayStation. And it was called what? Like was it We Are the
We
Children or
Happy
some
Few.
what?
Is it We Happy Few?
We Happy? No. No,
Okay.
it was based in 1940s or something, Poland. It was very dark and anyways, communist or whatever it is. Um but but my point is it was kind of like that where it's this it was it's this like we are the children type thing, and it's a very weird art type thing. It was all glass. It was all like very very glass and um not metallic based, but it was just the art style was different from anything I've ever seen. I'll have to look it up. It's something either We Are the Children or something lost. But anyways, it reminds me of that. But go ahead.
Um, Actually, I'm going to, and we don't have to keep this because I think we good for another.
Look, the more editing you guys give me, the less likely I'm going to actually edit.
Okay.
That's true.
Just flat out honest. I'll just take it and just post it because I don't.
Good point.
I'm
Well,
getting
I'm gonna
shorter and shorter
post
on
a
time.
trailer, and I see your reactions on that. I'm gonna post it in Discord. Just take a minute to watch it. It's a short trailer, and tell me if you guys
Well,
would get this
we'll
game.
we'll do that once we're done here.
Oh, true. No, I just got to know because I saw this trailer for Atomic Heart like back in the day, and I thought it was insane.
Now I got to find that other game.
But
But
no. To get back on topic.
yes.
So no, Eric, you need to experience Skyrim properly. So don't watch any gameplays. Don't do anything. Just get the game. The anniversary edition just uploaded. It's not even you don't even have to buy it. All right, all it does is update the game for the last Creation Club stuff that they added to it, and just sit down and experience the world. Because even though it's an aged game, it's 10 years now, so it's not up to standards in my opinion. But like, it's a solid enjoyment game if you just sit down and just try to experience it for the first time.
Okay.
Like, read through the lore books that they have all over the world. Just pay attention to the nuance and the beauty that's in that game, because it's the closest thing I'm going to get to Scandinavia at this point. But also, it's the beauty of Elder Scrolls is the fact that they built the world in a way where they can make something wrong and still have it work.
Mm-hmm.
Because especially once you dive into the lore, you'll start realizing that the lore is inconsistent on purpose. So it doesn't even matter if they mess up. And that's the beauty of how they wrote this, how they world built this game, is that there's multiple timelines that go in and out of a single timeline. And you'll start reading more about what that actually means in the world when you start going through the text. And it's a wonderful experience to go through that for the first time, because your mind just gets blown.
Gotcha.
I'm actually really interested to see Eric's reaction to like Elder Scrolls when it comes out, if it's going to be something. Because with how much you played Medieval Dynasty, like I could see you enjoying that kind of style.
Right.
I'm excited to see if you're gonna try and be like, this is shit. Like this is not my game, or if you're gonna be like, oh okay, I can see where they enjoyed it.
Well, what we can
Right.
do is, and this will
But
be
I will have a lot of questions though.
Well, what we can do is, to go along with those many questions you'll have, is what we could do is just have a night where we introduce Skyrim to Cody, so he can watch us stream it, or he can stream it, and we'll be there with him watching it,
Mm-hmm.
and we just go through the game. We'll call it the Eric playthrough, I guess.
Yeah. Whatever fits.
But that'll be a discussion for later. I'm not having.
I hear your guy just getting hungry on Medieval
Oh yeah,
Dynasty.
you watching my screen? Yeah.
Yeah, he just like
He's
stomach
gonna
growl.
die any second now because he doesn't have water. But anyways, yeah. Go ahead, Spence.
No, that was the end of the thought.
Okay.
So,
Well, I don't know. I think sounds like we covered everything from what we wanted to see, and I really just want to see more backstory. I know they did Morrowind, I know that's a game, but unfortunately for a lot of people, even me, I won't play a game when it's a certain amount of like aged. Like it just doesn't appeal to me. So I want to see more backstory on the Dark Elves without having to play an older game that doesn't work well. I would love to see more in Tomorrowland. I hope that you get to travel there as a DLC or something.
Well, you do
Because
know
I
it's an
just
ESO, right?
Yeah, so that was my other question. Was that not really well received by the
So
community? Like,
ESO ran into some issues when it first launched, but now it's a very established game. A lot of people still play it. I want to get into it, but I just don't have time to get into it.
see there's people like me that just don't count that as playing the other Elder Scroll games
It's
as lore
canon,
because
so
it's
it
like
counts.
MMO. Like I just don't. I'm in MMOs when I'm playing with friends, but for lore necessary, like I like to be at the helm, single
So
player.
so I will say the game as an MMO feels good enough to be an Elder Scrolls game. So you run into the issue of yes, you're running into other players, but the reality is the dungeons are set up and all this stuff is set up where it's not as in depth as a normal Elder Scrolls game, but it is Elder Scrolls esque. So like the aesthetic matches what they generally do, even though they don't have details like individual books on shelves, for instance. They do have the layout that you would expect
So
from.
general Elder Scrolls fans that are into every game, would the general population be pretty disappointed if the next game was just mainly about Dark Elves, since there is ESO and there was Morrowind already?
Not gonna lie, it would probably be 50-50. So, and the reason for that is because the lore behind the Dark Elves is actually extremely interesting, and them as a society is extremely interesting. So even if they did cop out and did a sequel to Morrowind, which I don't believe will happen, but if they did it, it wouldn't be ill received by the fandom. It would be more of why are we doing this again when we have other provinces that we haven't gone to yet. That's sort of my criticism with Redfall, assuming that's in Hammerfell, because we don't technically know yet. They haven't announced it, but everyone's assuming it is. So if it's in Hammerfell again when that was in Daggerfall, then why are we visiting that when we have not been to the Ultimary Dominion yet on any of those provinces? So we haven't been to
that's
Valenwood,
true.
we haven't been to Elsewhere, we haven't been to um, the Somerset Isles, but also we haven't been to Blackmarsh, the home of the Argonians.
That's true. We don't
So
really
we
like.
have 4 provinces technically that we have not had games for, that
Well,
we
that
should
just
be
means
having
more
games for.
games in the future.
Well, yeah, that's
Even
how it's set up, but it's one of those things where why are we would it makes not that it makes no sense to me, but it's very disingenuous, I think, to the fan base to remake an area that they've already been to. Now, I understand in modern day, no one's going to be playing through Daggerfall that much. I get that. No one's going to be playing through Morrowind that much. I get that. But the reality is that those areas have already been explored. What we want to see, or at least what I want to see, and I think most of the fandom will agree with me on this, is that we want the areas that we haven't been to yet. We've been through half of the continent. You can make a game that involves the other half of the continent. Now, how detailed we want that to be, I don't know. Personally, I think it would be fine if we did a Valenwood / Elsewhere combination. But that, again, that's just me. That I guarantee it, Bethesda's not going to do that. Hello, everybody, and thank you for watching our podcast. We do appreciate it. We will try to be uploading our podcast videos every Saturday. If you guys want to catch us when we do our podcast live, feel free to follow us on Twitch. The link will be in the description below, along with all of our other links to our personal channels. And in the meantime, I wish you all a wonderful, blessed rest of the night, and I will see you all again soon. Peace.